As Zimbabwe approaches the proposed July 31st demonstrations, there's a lot of uncertainty which continues to swirl around who is organizing the action, how prepared are structures on the ground, and what risks are ordinary citizens likely to face. While calls to mobilize have gained traction on social media, often driven by voices in the diaspora, concerns are also growing when it comes to coordination, legal protection, and accountability. To unpack this, we're joined by political activist Malcom Masarira, better known as Traore, who has raised caution around the lack of clear leadership, the potential for exploitation, and the real-world consequences for citizens who may respond to these calls. Joining us on the line there, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time and welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It's more than an honor to be on this platform.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you. I mean, you have warned against these July 31st calls, which are largely driven by social media and people outside of Zimbabwe. What are you saying about this mobilization as you put out the warning?
Okay, thank you so much. Basically, my point is, myself, I've gone through the fire. And I stayed in prison for like 4 to 5 months. And my point is, there is no need for people to go through the same fight, go the same rigorous process whereby people end up getting arrested, people end up being beaten, and then there's no legal budget to cater for people that would have been arrested. And I'm saying there is no proper clarity as to why people are going to participate in these protests. And thirdly, there are no leaders that are confirming that on this particular day they will be leading from the front. And fourthly, I've noticed that people have been looking for money from business people, promising them lucrative deals, mining concessions, that if they put their funds together for this protest, they are going to get these goodies. But unfortunately, the money that these people are getting, they are not directing these funds where the funds are supposed to go, like on the grassroots of people that are supposed to be protesting. People now, upon getting these funds, they are using these funds to buy themselves luxurious vehicles. And mind you, we've got people like Jealous Mawarire. Jealous Mawarire is staying in South Africa, is building also garden flats here in Zimbabwe, which are very, very expensive. And he's using these funds which are meant for these protests. And also there are others also that are in the diaspora, that are in the UK. We've got Kerina Mjad, and there's never been an open consensus whereby real stakeholders have been engaged. We are talking about people like General Sithole. General Sithole commands quite a huge constituency of people and is not being consulted. And these are signs of dubiousness that these people are not really genuine and sincere. Because I'm saying, if these people are genuine, they must come on the ground and face the regime head on if really they are genuine. Because mind you, the bottom line is that it's a constitutional right for people to protest. And it's not something that people can be arrested for. And if they really mean what they're saying, they must come on the ground, command the revolution from the front, like what used to happen during our liberation struggle. All the commanders, you would always see them leading from the front, engaging with the people. We would not want a situation whereby people use petty funds to mobilize people who are coming from the locations, people who are coming from the ghetto, yet those that are supposed to be benefiting, people who are going to be ministers, people who are going to be members of parliament that stay in an urban plush suburbs, you'll never see any of those people coming. So I'm saying now is not the time to take people for granted. Let's be genuine and sincere.
So as you voice those concerns, essentially speaking to a faceless planned march come July 31st, why do you think it's faceless? Why do you think there's no one person that can be pinpointed as the leader of these demonstrations?
The honest answer that I can give you is these people are doing it for money. Now we don't have an activists, rather I would say these are cash vests. We've got a person like Jealous Mawarire. Just look at his track record. In 2013, we used to have a GNU, which was between ZANU-PF and the MDC, and Jealous Mawarire made an application calling for elections. Yet these This GNU had brought stability. Imagine, this was a government that had come into effect after 2008 when there was nothing in the groceries and people were suffering. And this GNU managed to unite people for a genuine cause and do away with violence, corruption. And here, Julius Mawarire comes and says, no, this thing must be disbanded and done away with. And obviously, he got money. And it's always now his modus operandi that whenever he wants money, he comes up with this funny initiative. But we're saying, okay, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe in this case, it's genuine. Why hasn't he consulted the proper stakeholders that have been voicing their genuine concerns in this revolution? And Julius Mawarire is away. Why, if these people are genuine, we need the youth representation in this one. We need women representation. Stakeholders from various sectors must come on board. Then we have proper clarity on how we will move forward on this particular day. But apparently nothing of this has been happening. We've been seeing ghost accounts pushing this agenda. And this just goes on to show that even if this thing is to come through, then who will come and claim responsibility? Who will come and stand in front? Anyone can come and take advantage of it. And I'm saying we're dealing with people's lives here.
Yeah.
And we need genuine people who are willing to put their faces on the campaigning of the protest so that people know who is pushing what, who is doing what.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for ordinary Zimbabweans at the moment, really struggling with unemployment, inflation, the high cost of living, many would argue that they have little choice but to protest. What would you say to them? I know you've been very strong in your warning, saying that it's almost like putting your own life at risk without anyone who will be held accountable for what might transpire. What if this is a peaceful demonstration and a memorandum of understanding is being, handed over? Even without the faces, but a peaceful march to really just demonstrate the level of frustration on the ground. What do you say to that?
Let me tell you let me tell you something. There will always be a certain number of people that will always be disgruntled
Yes.
in whatever civilization. Now, there's something that people need to understand. Let's look at our geopolitics in Zimbabwe. Now, protests have never worked in Zimbabwe. This is the Zimbabwean environment, apparently. Whether I don't know whether to say unfortunately or fortunately, Zimbabwe is different from South Africa. And I'm saying politics is not static and it has evolved over time. Zimbabwe is 46 years old and this is the 21st century. Why not implement a scientific approach and use other more forms of engagement? Last year, 2025, was characterized by protests. We did 3 massive protests with popular people. I'm sure you've heard about the names of Blessed Geza. You've heard the names about of Sarwaka, General Sithole himself,
Yes.
Nyoka Mabuni is present there. Myself, I was in prison. It was characterized by protests. We're really pushing hard. And I'm saying, if really we are genuine, why can't we sit down and come up with a proper solution that will work and not be repeating the same strategy that is not yielding results over and over again? Because mind you, in 2017, when people flooded the streets, we had all races flooding in the streets. The military went into the streets first.
Because
So I'm
some
saying,
critics might argue, Malcolm, that calling for caution ultimately, really, I mean, I've heard your concerns. I've heard how, this will benefit and enrich some people, the likes of Julius Mawarire, who you keep mentioning. But some might argue that calling for caution ultimately benefits the government by discouraging public participation. How do you respond to that criticism? Because at the end of the day, yes, some may have, bloated pockets, but the issues continue to be silenced. It's business as usual because of a fear of accountability. But then there's no ventilation of some very, very serious concerns when it comes to, unemployment and really boosting the economy, and a lot of concerns that are on the ground.
a genuine revolution does not use one strategy. What my question is, what are the strategies if people come together and say, okay, let's send our message to the government. These people do not want this. Julius Malema himself tweeted and said, I've never met Emerson Mnangagwa, President Mnangagwa, and I do not even want to meet him, even in the future. And I'm saying this is a person who's pushing for protests. And how then do we engage? Because now we've got a popcorn setup that is happening. Others are saying we're getting into the streets to remove ZANU-PF. Others are saying we're getting into the streets to fight the Constitutional Amendment Act, which is now a law. It's not a bill anymore. It's an act, number 3. And I'm saying now we're endangering people's lives. And the police, before clearing, they look at people who are pushing this thing. And we've got people who are coming up with this mafia language, this mafia tone of destruction, of massive violence against the government. And under normal circumstances, there is no way the government will allow people to get into the streets given such a message prior to the protest itself, because people have invested in the economy. Zimbabwe is an economy, it's a civilization whereby businesses, people have got properties, people have got businesses, people have got investment, and whenever there is a sign of jeopardizing these things, be it foreign investment, which people invested in our country, the government is bound to stop this protest. And I'm saying, let's put things in writing and seek for a meeting with the president first, because last year we did this protest, they didn't yield any result. So let's down as stakeholders and approach the president and those that are in power and give them an ultimatum that please fix 1, 2, 3, and 4. And after, when again are we going to have another meeting to look at areas that we've discussed, to see if there's any progress? And people like Julius Malema, they don't want these things, because I'm saying the revolution has got leaders. They say in South Africa, saw people like Mchunu, Pakelu Mtakati going to meet with the president, expressing their concerns, which are coming from the masses about the economy and various issues. And we need to come together as a people and pursue this road, because politics has evolved. We need to come up with a scientific approach that does not bring in hate, but that raises concerns from the people, that shows that we want to be involved on how the country is run, so that it becomes a win-win situation for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. That was political activist Malcom Masarira, better known as Traore, who has, of course, cautioned when it comes to the lack of clear leadership and perhaps potential for exploitation, saying that some people are hoping to enrich themselves with the faceless July 31st demonstrations, calling for a solid approach. In fact, he's called it a scientific approach that raises legitimate concerns. Find yourself at the table with President Emerson Mnangagwa, raise the concerns so that there is progress, because previous protests, according to him, have not shown any signs of implementation and accountability.